Let's talk about skillfulness and the concept of skillfulness versus unskillfulness is for me it's so powerful, so simple, so overlooked, so practical. We can divide all things, and in particular all qualities of the mind between these two categories of skillful and unskillful. So if we think of mental phenomena or qualities of the mind, we can think of thoughts, emotions, habit patterns, um, movements of the mind, memories, imaginations, all kinds of mental phenomena, right? Some of them are unskillful, which really means that they uh, lead to suffering. And then the skillful ones lead us away from suffering. It's very simple, right? In the Buddha's teachings, all suffering is conditioned, meaning it's caused. It has an origin and a cause. All forms of stress, suffering, lamentation, grief, despair has a cause. And so too, these more mundane forms of happiness, bliss, joy, peace, all these positive qualities have conditions that give rise to them until we achieve what's called nibbana, the unconditioned, which is, full awakening, enlightenment. It's the unborn, the unconditioned. But if we put that to the side, everything else in this conditioned world of phenomena, and when I say conditioned world, it's a world of things that come and go, right? Can be separated into what's skillful and what is unskillful. So in these teachings, we are, of course, encouraged to develop what is skillful and to put down, to abandon and prevent what is unwholesome, unhelpful, unskillful. If you start to apply this frame of reference or way of looking to your life, it will be radical. It might seem like so simple. Yeah, obviously, it's obvious, right? But it's actually radical. And the Buddha said before he became the Buddha, before he became enlightened or awakened, this was a breakthrough for him, where he kind of drew a line in the sand and just started looking at things as skillful or unskillful. One of the things that happens when we do this is um we take things less personally, right? It's not a matter of like, oh, here's my anxiety. Why am I so anxious? I thought I was past this. I've had all these therapy sessions and blah blah blah, and I'm still getting anxious, or I'm 50 years old. I shouldn't be feeling this way anymore. Whatever it is, right? We don't identify with things so much. We don't take them so seriously. It's no, it's just skillful or it's not. If it's not skillful, if it leads to suffering, like say anxiety has arisen, we recognize that it leads to suffering. Okay, this is something for me to overcome. It's not to be trusted, not to be developed, not to be wallowed in. This is something to be freed from. Um, Kind of a topic for another time, but for some of us, actually, our aversion towards the anxiety is also unskillful. So we need to learn how to not try and run from it, but to relate to it differently until we develop an attitude of fearlessness towards anxiety. But that's sort of a topic for another time. Um, Now, again, continuing with this idea of anxiety and talking about the radical nature of this thing that we're talking about here. How is it radical? So nowadays, a lot of times when people feel anxiety, the the impulse is to blame something. I hear this a lot now. Oh, this person makes me anxious. My boss makes me anxious, or my teacher, or my father, or my brother, or whatever, my friend. So we vilify that person. There's something wrong with that person. right? Or we say I'm anxious, and so because I'm anxious, people should sympathize with me. They should have empathy towards me and coddle me, or they should give me a break. Um, there's a lot of this kind of going on in society today. Um, Sometimes when people feel anxious, they feel that okay, they need to speak out against the thing that makes them anxious, and other people should listen to them because they should have sympathy towards them. Now, if we're honest, we probably feel this way to some degree. But in the Buddha's teachings, when anxiety arises, the attitude is simply that this is unskillful. This is not wise. It's not practical. It's not helping me. It's actually distorting my way of perceiving things. So, from that perspective, someone that is anxious is not um, really able to see things clearly while that anxiety is present. So, not only should others not trust their point of view, but they themselves should not trust their point of view. What the work for that person to then do is to find their way out of anxiety because it's not who they really are. It's something that is caused by other conditions. And anxiety itself is another causal condition that will lead to suffering for themselves and for others. So this is just a little preview of how this frame of reference of skillful versus unskillful changes things.